Hi there, I'm Lewis, and today I'm going to be making historical foods. Today we're going to be looking at the modern era. The modern era lasted from about the 1960s to the 1980s. During this time there were many social shifts going on. Women began joining the workforce and leaving the home life, the life that they were stuck in during the post-World War era. With less people at home and more people working, food became faster. Quick, pre-made meals started flying off shelves, and brands like Hamburger Helper grew in sale. Fast food chains like McDonald's and Burger King also saw growth in sales during this time, as the food was seen as good, fast, and convenient. For this era, we can really see the shift from homemade foods to more packaged foods. Although a lot of vegetables were eaten, they were definitely consumed less, and a lot of vegetables were very canned, or it was just basic vegetables grown in gardens. So again, the trend of green beans, potatoes, all that. To explore this era, I'm going to be making a kind of classic McDonald's meal using an old recipe from around the 1970s. I'll be making the quarter pounder, french fries, and chicken McNuggets. So, let's go. McDonald's was founded back in the 1950s. However, it wasn't really until this era where the consumerism around it really started to take off. As more people were out of work and they needed a quick way to get food like McDonald's, it was seen as fast, convenient, and a somewhat good-for-you option. Other food chains like Wendy's, which was famous for its salad bar and Frosties, and Arthur's Teachers, a fish and chip chain, started to grow in popularity. Most meals from these chains were fairly cheap. The meal I will be making in the 1970s currency would be around $1.50. This cheap, fast conveniency led to the creation and rise of fast food chains and advertising throughout the 80s and 90s. Companies were now advertising food products using TV ads, more frequently cementing themselves in the all-American wholesomeness brand. A lot of these brands also really tried to appeal to children, using funny little mascots and the idea that you can get toys in your meal, further getting more people to shop at their stores. Fast food chains weren't the only fast food that became popular. Brands like Hamburger Helper, Muggo Lunch, and Libbyland's Lunch, and Campbell's all started to fly off the shelves. Many other brands like Betty Crocker and Little Debbie started releasing pre-baked or dessert mixes, leading to less mess in the kitchen and a small addition to one's lunch or breakfast plate. A lot of popular food brands really started to take off during this time, leading to an influx of different candies, food trends, brand loyalty, and more food products, leading to less wanted ingredients being used in foods. These additions allowed for preservation, allowing these items to be more shelf-stable. However, it was at the detriment of the American people. With instant breakfast, lunch, and dinner, brands started popping up, and most Americans would rely on at least one non-homemade item for each meal. Vegetables like green beans and tomatoes were still popular, as they could easily be grown in gardens. However, more vegetables like corn, green beans, and carrots were now being sold in cans, almost a bit watered down and very easily shelf-stable for a long time. Dieting also took off during this time. Supplements, Weight Watchers, and fad diets were spreading through magazines and fitness-related TV advertising, leading to fad diet foods flying off shelves, things like fruits, cottage cheese, and juice. Now, after going over all of this, let's focus back on the meal. I'm making a quarter pounder with chicken McNuggets and fries. I'm following a recipe that was published by an ex-McDonald's worker, going over the different ingredients used and how McDonald's made these foods back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. To make french fries, peel and cut up 2 potatoes either by hand or using a chopper. I do not have a chopper, so I'm using my hands. In a large bowl, combine corn syrup, sugar, and water, and let the fries soak in that for about 30 minutes. Once the time is up, fry them for about 1 minute before letting them rest, and then frying them once more to make double fried fries. Then you can sprinkle it with a bit of salt. I forgot to do that, so whoopsie. For the chicken nuggets, cut a chicken breast into bite-sized pieces, then coat in a seasoned flour mixture, then an egg wash, then back into the mixture before freezing it. After freezing, repeat the egg wash process and fry it for about 8 minutes before baking them for about 10. I did 2 separate chicken nugget batches, one in an air fryer and one in an actual fryer, and the air fryer ones didn't turn out that well, so I would recommend using a fryer for both of these recipes. For the quarter pounders, I used a basic burger bun recipe. I then weighed the meat to 4 ounces and froze the patties. After letting them sit, I grilled them along with the buns on the skillet until just cooked through. And I used the McDonald's burger seasoning recipe, which is also linked in the recipe set. I cooked them until just cooked through. While the recipe does say you can cook it on a skillet, I had to put them in an oven for a bit because they were not quite at a safe temperature. You can either follow the traditional toppings for a quarter pounder, which includes pickles, onions, along with different condiments, or you can be like me, a bit basic, and just put cheese on it. Tastes good either way. And here we have our modern food era. This era helps to demonstrate the major shift from homegrown and local food to processed and packaged meals. During this time, brands were able to advertise themselves using TV, cementing themselves into the American brain. Brands used advertisements on TV to advertise food products to Americans, and stores now stock shelves with the majority of these products. A lot of very processed food, chicken that had to be shaken, Campbell's soup, and many other things from this era. Convenience was key, and brands knew this, as most Americans were now working out of the house. Food got faster and more portable. Instead of packing a lunch, you could just pack a pre-made meal that only needed a microwave or a bit of water. This really started an era of highly processed foods and foods that used slightly less natural things that you would find in a locally made or homemade meal. So, let's try this interpretation of a basic McDonald's meal. Okay, here we got the plate. Very beige, as you can see, but, let's just try it. Chicken nuggets. I mean, they're basic chicken nuggets. They're oddly light. I don't quite know how to describe it, but they're also very salty because there's a lot of salt in the chicken nugget mix. But not bad. The crust and outside tastes kind of nice. I'm gonna guess that's from the baking and deep frying process. Fries. They have a moderately crispy outside. Not as crispy as I like it, but the inside is very nice and kind of mushy. So these are pretty good. And now, the burger. That is a very juicy burger. My God. Very juicy, very nice. Because this is a McDonald's, you can kind of order whatever you want. I just put cheese on mine, however, commonly for quarter pounders, ketchup, mustard, mayo, pickles, onions, you could request all of that. Overall, this meal is very basic, and kind of the way all this tastes reminds me a lot of different sporting foods, the food that you pick up at a baseball game or something, but it's not bad. Although I would like to add, by far, this has been the worst era to cook for. I hate deep frying so much, but hey, it's not the worst, not the best for you, and let's see what the modern era looks like next.